So today we are going to be reading Monster My Friends, Creepypasta X Beast Listener up in here. So we are currently on North, but we're going to go back a chapter for the purpose of the recap. So going back, which this is a pretty long chapter, so I'm going to try and cut it short as much as literally possible, because it's looking at me right in the face. So, currently we are with Jack, Sally, Seed Eater, and obviously ourselves. We were currently on a mission trying to kind of delete evidence, kind of kill the imposters, or not imposters, I would say, but more like just kind of get rid of the people that are trying to get rid of us, pretty much, is what I'm trying to say. And we ended up finding Laughing Jack because they tried to torture him for information or something like that. Which I think is the funniest thing in the world. But obviously he's like full of like candy or whatever. It's Laughing Jack. No logic. But anyways, after freeing him, and then he's like, they wanted him to leave immediately because they don't like him. Not even Sally does. So he just left, and he was like barely saying thank you. Freaking kind of find out that there's Christian or just religion involved with it. They have these crosses, special crosses that prevent demonic or something like that. Like, for example, Jack and Seed Eater from touching them. But for us, we're not demonic by choice or by something, and they couldn't hurt us at all. So we had a very big advantage to that. And eventually, after time forms on, they ended up dying. Most of them are escaping. And eventually, we ended up finding like a crap ton of guys later on. And long story short, after all that, I think we ended up losing one of our eyes. Because it's just been fucked up a bit too many times. But we ended up surviving and, you know, just living on, honestly. Just living on. Chugging along, you know. So that's, like, the fastest way I could, like, recap that from full-on remembrance. Because if I recap it like I usually do, this would take, like, at least 6, 7, 10 minutes, alright? So, you're welcome, everyone. Hello, everyone. So, for some warnings, straightly going into this, video, there'll be sound effects of basically killing people, guns, slices, like killing someone with a knife, and then for the non-sound effectsy things, blood, gore, violence, assassination of a lot of people, bombs. There will be a bomb sound. I completely forgot to mention that. Completely sorry. There will just be a lot of mentions of just very certain things that people might not be comfortable with hearing or listening about. So if there's any extra of the stuff that I have missed that basically isn't really included in the everyday creepypasta, because remember, we're reading a creepypasta story, it's always going to be somehow a little gory and terrifying. It'll be on the screen right now. You have been warned, y'all. Anyways, now we are officially in the part that is north. Sir, if you would allow us, taking the beast will make it quicker to get to town. Masky approached behind the couch, cautiously requesting, with Hoodie's condition, a walk of such a distance may open his wound once more. The Slenderman scratched his chin, not bothering to look at the requester.
Yes, that would be an issue. I can't afford to have a proxy out of work for an extended period. Considering your destination is the furthest, it may be the best. Very well, you may take Tudo.
Masky nods appreciatively. He glanced my way as he tapped his hand on his thigh. Tudo, come. I snorted in disdain, quickly standing from my comfortable spot when Slenderman raised a brow my way, and followed the masked man as I followed the masked man out to the front door to join the other two talking in the yard. Master agreed, thankfully. Masky sighs, his posture already worn. Hoodie looked relieved, patting my shoulder comfortingly. So what's the plan? We infiltrating as usual or not take the risk? We will have to do some surveillance beforehand. May waste a few days, but it's best to take it safe when we're dealing with extremists. Master gave us a week deadline. May as well use it. Toby groans exaggeratingly at Masky's words, his body slumping forward. Come on, let's just get in, kill everyone, get out. I don't want to sit around for days and pee in a bottle again. I wonder if your ass gets jealous of all that shit that comes out of your mouth. At least I don't have a stick shoved so far up my ass to give me a headache. Masky clicks his tongue, opting to ignore the youngest complaining. I figured now it's the best to move on from the situation. Laying myself low to the ground to allow Hoodie an easy mount, he too seems to want to end the mission as quickly as possible, climbing onto me without hesitation. I didn't mind having to carry Hoodie around. He seems to be a decent guy, someone with a sharp tongue and a lot of pride. I'm still waiting for that promised burger, though, but I'll let it slide for the time being. As I begin to rise to my feet, an extra weight is added to my back. Out of my peripheral, I can see Toby giddily squeezing himself close to Hoodie. Road trip! I brought snacks. Damn it, Toby. Take this seriously. Do you have any idea what will become of us if we fuck up another mission? Toby rubbed his chin. A long, drawn-out hum. He didn't seem to care all that much. Our limbs, Toby. We don't have any left. More weight. Masky slid in. Hoodie sighs in exasperation, his body being forced forward by the two behind him, almost having him sit on my neck. My legs wobble as I stood. I may be large, but not so that 3 people can sit on top of me comfortably. I try to take a step, almost collapsing at the elbow. You guys are heavy. Despite the weight limit, I can keep a suitable pace. It's not the best posture for any creature to move, let alone run in, but my passengers have not complained. Sorry, that's my cat. Oh my gosh. Honestly, they have not said much of anything, besides Toby's random spewing, fucktard, loudly through the air. Only once, and no one made a comment about it. I begin to once more contemplate the kind of people I want to stick around. Hoodie did a decent job of letting me know where he intends for me to go. With the conversation Masky and Slender had, the distance to our destination is long. I was not expecting it to take 3 hours of constant running to get there. The tall, skinny forestation, usually compacted, so solid with trees steadily clear. The trees spaced out, the sun peeked through the tree tops. Worst of all, plenty of protruding rocks paved the ground. My body gave up from exhaustion. I fell forward and onto my head, sending my party tumbling across the ground. Toby sat up instantly, fixing his goggles and pulling loose bark and dead grass from his wavy brunette locks. Well, you lasted longer than I thought you could. Hoodie wobbled into a kneeling position. He held his back in throbbing pain, groaning out soft swears. Shit. Should have seen that coming. Would have been easier if the 2 of you walked. God damn it, that fucking hurt. Masky swore loudly, cursing the sky as he cradled his leg, rolling around onto his back as his attire collected debris from the ground. He bit his lip, reaching for his mask he had lost in the fall. He had an expression of vexation. He looked like his companions up and down. He looked his companions up and down, replacing his mask before turning in my direction. We are walking the rest of the way. I am not trusting that thing again. You can't blame this on me, you jerk. I was told to accommodate 1 passenger on this expedition. I'm fine, by the way. Not like my face is important to me or anything. I rubbed the nose of my mask. The cover itself is undamaged, but my face still collided with the hard material. Not to mention the amount of dirt in my mouth. Without lips, there is no way to spit out such intrusions. Yeah, no. After that, there is no way I can walk for a while. Hoodie stood, being hunched and sore, cradling his abdomen securely. He grumbles. This time I will ride. Alone. The three of them are silent, an eerie still display with a trio whose expressions are hidden behind masks. Toby shrugged, his head cracked to his shoulder. So you're not gonna let little old Toby ride with you? I'm light. Easy saddlebag. No, Toby. No extra rate. Hoodie sighs, releasing the tension in his shoulders and finally letting his body droop. Let's just go. It's going to be a long week if we act like this. Act like what? What are you implying, Hoodie? I could feel the harshness in Masky's words, challenging his companion to elaborate on his behavior. Hoodie placed himself between the two who began to raise fists, gently fluttering his hands as a distraction. Whoa, I'm sure Hoodie didn't mean anything by it. No need to twist your panties, Masky. He probably finds this refreshing. Am I right? Toby gestured for Hoodie to speak. The man himself averted his gaze, whispering so soft I nearly missed his words. Like a glass of salt water. That's it, fucker. Masky fished around inside the pocket of his jacket, brandishing a shiny solid object. This wretch is going down your esophagus. Come at me. You've already tried to kill me once. Hoodie stood tall, outstretching his arms in a vulnerable manner. Let's see if you can succeed this time. Oof, I hope this is not the consequence of my trip. I knew Masky was hot-headed, but damn, he can even make Hoodie lose his cool. Toby joined me on the ground. Resting against my body, he sighs, stretches, then leans against me like he did the night under the stars. May as well relax, Buttercup. This may take a while. But this may take a bit. Not much further to go anyways. We can afford to waste some time. He pointed forward, a little off the marker from the direction the group is headed. Right over that hill is a lake. Beside that lake is a warehouse. That's where we're going. Quite close indeed. I hope they don't plan on swimming. I haven't experienced enough to know if I'll sink like a rock or not. A stick-like object is jammed into my face. Before I could get angry, the smell of something tasty engulfed my nasal cavity. Toby sat with a fruit bar in hand, holding it out and wiggling it suggestively. You want this? I'll give it to you if you let me ride you instead of Hoodie. That's not fair. Carrying Hoodie is literally the only reason why I'm here. He still owes me food, and now you're offering to make a deal as well? Bull to the shit. I whined, a shameless, helpless sound, bumping my head against Toby's chest while looking up at him. I know dogs can get away with begging. Why can't a 300-pound bird thing do it? Toby looks at the wrapped snack in his hand, exhales and removes the foil. You're lucky you're cute. This is my only fruit snack bar. Be thankful. I obediently opened my mouth to allow the boy to place the treat in my mouth. He pats me softly as I chewed, a content look in his eyes. His head shot up, eyes wide. I remember. My dog. I had a big gold one, all fuzzy. Can't remember its name. Oh, wait, it's... Before Toby could finish his sentence, Masky's body collided with the ground at my feet. Every inch of his figure is covered with dust. His mask had pushed past awkwardly on his head. A small amount of blood dripped from his visible nose. His breathing is ragged, his ears red. Is that all you got? Hoodie stood above him, his appearance less disheveled. It's obvious who overpowered who, despite its exerted injury. The overexerted injury. That's enough. The sun will be down in an hour. We have to arrive at our destination before then. Hoodie stepped past Masky, not bothering to help him off the ground. He didn't give me a chance to stand before he hopped onto my back, leaning most of his weight off his upper body. Masky dusted himself, mumbling harsh and angered words. He stormed off alone, his knuckles white from clenched fist. What was its name? Toby's soft voice is heartbroken. But he remembered something for the first time in how long, and it all vanished in an instant, leaving the poor boy on the verge of tears. Hoodie took one look and shook his head, sliding down my back. I'm sure this thing won't mind hauling you around also. It's not that weak. Wow, thanks for your kind and single-sided words, but he is correct. I am not such a monster to let a crying boy be. Even if he's a homicidal schizophrenic with an apathetic ten, tendencies. Toby sat in the front of Hoodie quietly, his usual twitching strangely still. Hoodie patted his back in support, giving a strong kick to my sides. Masky is relatively easy to catch up to. The man hobbled along slowly, paying no mind to our approach. He still seems to be fuming, but taking Hoodie's words more seriously than his prior outburst. Now is not the time to be cutting any threads. Just as Toby said, over the small hill is a large body of water. On the outer ring, on top of a 6-foot concrete support, is a steel dome warehouse, aimed to the teeth with guards in black attire. Masky sucked in a breath, his jaw clenched tight. Well, this may be more of a shit show than we thought. You can say that again. And that is for show. Alright, so we are in Northern, and this seems to be a little long. We shall see. Oh, sorry. Alright, Northern. Masky and Hoodie were the ones sent on recon. I, being far too large, and considered to be stupid, to help, waited patiently hidden in our makeshift camp beside the lake. Toby stayed behind with me. In his happy babbling, he explained that due to his Tourette's, he is unable to stay quiet enough for stealth missions. He happily laughed when he says that Slenderman considered his twitching his He happily laughed when he says that Slenderman considered stitching his mouth at one point to raise his value, though reconsidered it after finding he was amused by the boy's unfiltered vocabulary. The two returned after a few hours, meeting up to fill Toby and I on what they discovered while scoring opposite ends of the warehouse. The personnel are equipped with a variety of different firearms, body armor, cheap but sturdy material. Our issue is the entry points. Masky explained the front of the building is heavily guarded. Is the heavily guarded area. The building is leveled with concrete. The majority taking up the yard to keep wooden crates dry. The problem is, we would be walking through the front door. Hoodie said the opposite. The back end of the tin building is backed up against the lake. The little space it has is narrow, but there are few guards, no cover. The only entry we could get is if we make ourselves one. Not knowing what is on the other side of the thin wall is drastic. Two options that no one can agree on. The proxy spent 2 more days scouting, lodging, scheduling for shift changes, notes for other possible entries. I am pleasantly surprised to see jots regarding what lamps are burnt out, water levels, and abstract information about the area's layout. These guys are pros in the end. They can afford to be anything but meticulous. On the 4th day, it is agreed that we don't have any other option than the main entrance. The back of the buildings may seem the safest, but without knowing what to expect, it's not worth the risk. Masky proposes we use a maze of boxes as cover, disregarding the extra forces so we can focus on the head honcho cooped up inside. We can't remember. The boss said we have to kill everyone. Toby objected, flipping through the notebook with his thumb, his shoulders tucked in on himself awkwardly. It's unlikely so many people know about our existence. Most, if not all, the guards have to be hired missionaries. No need to bother with someone who doesn't know what they are being paid for. Masky is nonchalant about his explanation, saying he didn't want to waste time and he himself could take the consequence of his decision. I nodded. Masky makes a good point. We can always deal with them after it comes to it. I doubt anyone will care for my input, but if possible, I want to be included in this decision. Toby's expression lines up. You see? Buttercup agrees with me. It's 2-1. I did no such thing, you psycho. I tried to refute with a squeak, but it did more harm than good. Masky growled, shoving a finger in Toby's chest. It's only agreeing because you fed it. Don't you think of lying? I saw it with my own 2 eyes. Maybe. Toby chuckles. Not like it matters why. What matters, it's tied. Hoodie shakes his head, rubbing his temples simultaneously. Look, now is not the time. We have 3 days to complete this mission and return to our master. It's good that they are taking each other's opinions seriously, but something tells me that there is a reason for doing so. Toby is a troublemaker, purposefully so, but I don't think he would go as far as to sabotage an objective, would he? How about this? We finish taking out the head, and if we have time, we will deal with everyone else. Good? Toby snorts, shrugging his shoulders. Fine, as long as we get back on time. Jeff and I have plans to binge My Little Pony. Don't tell him I said that. Whatever. We are all in agreement now, right? Let's get going so we can be there for sunset. As expected, the security doubles when the sun goes down. Hoodie took the position of leading the group off the beaten path and onto the solid platform, hiding us behind a double stack of shipping crates. Several missionaries walked absent-minded, shifting flashlights back and forth with no gumption. If I wasn't so nervous, I'd be ecstatic to be involved in an action-packed break and enter. But without the motive for theft and more top-tier assassination. Alright, let's get to work. Hoodie armed himself with a 6-inch hunting knife, whipping both sides of the blade on his sleeves regardless of the already pristine reflective edge. We will meet by the east wall. Toby, keep your mouth guard locked and tight. If one of your ticks gets us caught, we are done. Hoodie's words are stern. Toby gave him a thumbs up, adjusting the fabric over his mouth securely. Tudo, if you get caught, act as a distraction. Wow, that's for your boost of confidence. Sensing my glare, Hoodie turned away, shifting uncomfortably. He patted Masky on the shoulder and, with his head low, snuck behind another stack of boxes out of her sight. Don't fuck this up, Rogers. Masky threw his pointer at Toby, leaning it closely as to antagonize him, and just like that, he too scuttled away. Toby turned to me, throwing his arms up. You see what I have to deal with? He shook his head, venturing the opposite direction as his 2 companions, leaving me to fend for myself. I hesitated as a beam of light approached my hiding place. I have no time to contemplate my best course of action. Springing up and on top of the stack of boxes, well above the guard's head, the Iron Man looked around, confused. He whispers to himself about how this job is making him hear things, and properly returned to the way he came. Interestingly enough, none of the personnel are focusing on what's above their heads, allowing me a semi-easy route to my destination. The wooden boards of the box threaten to break under my talons. I flinch with each creak and crack it makes. It is a quick detour. I caught up to Hoodie faster than I would in the maze. He stationed himself behind a corner, leaning around it to watch an approaching guard who stood in his way, covering the woman's mouth as he easily dragged her around the corner with him and stuck his knife along her his knife on her neck with precision. Basically slit her throat or something like that. He checked each of her pockets, taking whatever he considered essential. On the opposite side of the stack to my right is Masky. He too is carefully maneuvering around the maze, checking each and every corner before continuing forward. Masky paused, glancing around before canering his head to look above him, his eyes widening as he stumbles backwards. Jesus fuck Christ. Masky gripped his jacket, coughing and taking a deep breath. The hell, Tudo? Did Toby put you up to this, or are you pissed at me for something? The latter, but this is unintentional. I still got a chuckle from Masky's direction. It's the first time I've seen him flustered. He, on the other hand, does not look amused. He reached up a hand to me expectingly. Well, what are you waiting for? Help me up. You can't be serious. I shook my head. No. What do you mean, no? Masky shook his head, emphasizing what he expected me to cooperate with. I shook my head once again. continuing to the meeting point without looking back at the man who growled in irritation. Unsurprisingly, I am the first to arrive, sitting patiently for the others. What is surprising is the next to come is Toby, his posture chipper, and his clothes splattered with a decent amount of red. He sat himself beside me, leaning against the tin wall of the warehouse. If Masky asked, you and me had a tie. Fine. I already made him mad. What's another little shove? Speak of the devil. Mask turned around the corner to join us, Hoodie not far behind. Both of their postures looked standoffish. Masky tugged Toby up by his collar. What did you do, you dumbass? Masky shook the boy, earning a chuckle. Whatever are you talking about, Masky? Hoodie places a hand on Masky's shoulder, sighing. A few guards were found dead. Fortunately, they ruled it as infighting. Apparently, it's common. But they still stationed 2 heavy units at the door. We can no longer get in through there. Uh-oh. They look stuck. Aside from Toby, who seems quite happy about the outcome. What are you so happy about, you fucking bastard? Toby flinched at Masky's words, averting his gaze. His previous cheerful attitude turned somber. As he turned, he stopped, looking at something on the wall. Hey, Masky? Shit, how are we supposed to get in now? Got any ideas, Hoodie? Hoodie shook his head. Hey, Masky. Toby tries to push me out of the way. I cocked my head with a confused interest, following his will and getting up. Toby still has not gained his companion's attention. Hey, Masky! Toby yelled, far too loud for an infiltration mission. Masky spun around, his hands threatening to reach the boy's throat. What? There's a window here. Toby meekly points to a small bottom floor window, earning silence and a sigh. That's good. That's good. Hoodie kneels, pressing a hand to the glass. Looks clear. Should we burst in? Anyone have a screwdriver? They all answered no. I scratched the chin of my mask, glancing down at my clawed fingers. A sudden idea protruded in my mind. I nudged Hoodie out of the way. He tried to resist, but honestly, he should know it's pointless. It is awkward, but the edge of my claw slides into the screw, allowing a twist of my wrist to slowly loosen the mend. The 3 boys gawked for a moment before Hoodie took a hold of the side of the window frame. Get the other side, Masky. We can pull it out when it's free. I'm starting to worry about this thing's intelligence. Masky did as told, squaring on the opposite side of me to firmly grasp the corners. The last screw fell to the hard ground below. The 2 pulled it with all their might to tear the frame from the wall. It thankfully was not difficult due to poor construction. You first, Toby. Tell us if you get shot. Masky ushered Toby over. The boy promptly flipped them off before dragging himself into the opening. The others followed after Toby said it was clear. The window is ground level. Thankfully, we don't have to deal with a drop. Now is the issues of getting myself in. While I do want to attempt to join the party, I fear I may get stuck halfway in. The others also have this fear, as they stood watching from inside. I didn't have time to think of the consequences, as shouting can be heard from nearby. Less that we have been caught, and more that there's a conflict amongst the missionaries. Screw it. I've already made a lifetime of bad decisions. Shoving my head through the gap, I realized the opening is a lot smaller than I initially thought. Forget about my body, I can hardly get my neck in. Moving away from the opening, I contemplated my options. I could try to back in feet first, or I could just go for my previous attempt. Instead, I entered the hands first, using my claws against the ground to anchor my body while simultaneously pulling myself in. My hair slicked back, neatly folding against my body as I slid forward. I must credit Slenderman for his perfect wash, though remembering it makes me shudder. Just like that, the team is inside. The interior is stocked with plenty more boxes. An odd fishy stench and humid air. They really don't want to make it easy for us. Masky clicks his tongue. No time to waste. Let's split up as planned. Toby nodded, leaving us once more as he headed for a flight of stairs. Masky turned to me, pointing up. I'm confused until I realize he wants me to climb onto the crates again. I know it's hard to ask, but watch your backs, would you? My turn to click my tongue, the noise bringing a sour look to Masky's eyes. Let's go, Masky. All the intel we need is in that computer. Hoodie glanced around, nodding at me. I'm going to distract them. No fooling around, I swear. Masky hums, tilting his head. He seems worried for his companion, but agrees nonetheless. Just be careful. You and I both know what happened last time you acted as a distraction. I'm just glad Scully isn't here. No kidding. The two split during their conversation, being far more careful with their actions than getting through the maze. I carefully and quietly scaled the tower as crates monitoring each and every scrape and creak with high focus. If I seriously die from falling off a bunch of boxes, I'll never let myself live it down. I feel sick at the top of the tower. It is far too close to the ceiling, while too far from the floor. With a nervous chuckle, I follow the row of stacks. I'm unsure where the cargo is, but it is definitely heavy. The boxes themselves have a difficult time supporting my weight, yet the stacks won't tilt at the weight shift. It makes me curious. This drop off of the stack is right above the main area. A handful of staff stood around, watching the monitoring and writing something on clipboards. The computer is massive. The setup similar to NASA. A large flat-screen TV monitors hung close together, connecting those viewing to the forestation everyone lives in. Masky was not kidding when he said we were being monitored. Aside from that, nothing really stood out. A few to no guards hung around the area. Oddly silent and still gives me a bad feeling. A loud clanging echoed the interior of the building, metal on metal. A repeated resonance. It must be Hoodie's distraction. His uproar has indeed caught the attention of those before me. 3 or 4 stationed missionaries followed the sound in a hurry, leaving the staff confused and concerned. Cocking my head, I stare down. The last guard is standing beneath me. She looks around as though she is lost. I debated on doing something about her. I got closer to the edge, leaning over to peer. My shift in position cracked the board. A silver wood gently fell from place. I watched it fall with absence of baffling. It happened so suddenly I had no chance of stopping it. The small piece of broken wood fell before the woman's eyes. She looked down at the reject with perplexity. Her face turned to horror as she looks up, her eyes wide. I kept hold of her gaze. Should I move, it may break her out of her shock. Seems it did not matter in the end. She took a step back, her mouth flying open in preparation to scream. Her mouth was quickly covered by a gloved hand. Her body pulled back into Masky's embrace. Should have stood silent, darling. A muffled gasp left her lips, her eyes rolling to the back of her skull. Masky released her body, allowing it to fall forward, his blade firmly embedded between her ribs. He retrieved the blade with tenderness I did not think was possible for such a brute. He wiped the stain from his blade onto his sleeve before returning it to the holster on his thigh. His head shot up, pointing at me with a bloody finger. Watch yourself. We have to wait for Toby. We can't afford to be caught until then. You have to fill me in more, dude. Context is always nice. With a huff from me, he turns around, cracking his knuckles and chuckling. Time for the hard part. Get ready, bird brain. Fuck you, you short barbarian. With all the armed personnel removed, there was no one left to oversee the protection of the personal staff. That realization dawned on all of them when they lay eyes on Masky. There were a few yells, questions, the common trope anyone would use in an unsuspected person trespassed to your property. Masky ignored the clamor, sticking a hand into the jacket of his tan jumper, a flash of ebony. Mask aimed an elongated gun. No, it is not elongated. His firearm is equipped with a silencer. The mercenaries out in the exterior are too distant to hear the pop of a silencer. Masky can kill everyone left in the main area, and those left in the vicinity will be dumb to the fact. That's exactly what Masky wants, and he didn't wait for anyone to cry. Quick pops synchronized with collapses of staff. one after the other. Some squirmed around on the floor, trying to pull themselves to safety, while others ceased all movement before hitting the floor. I take back what I said. Masky has the accuracy of a sniper. It's impressive, and over within the blink of an eye. My eyes lit up at the sight of the pro as he blew smoke smoldering from the nozzle of the suppressor, a sly grin barely visible behind his mask. He can be an asshole, but there's no doubt he has his charms. What is on your mind, chickadee? You developed a staring problem? His sly smile deepened. Too bad for you, I'm not a furry. I was just complimenting you, you jackass. Don't ruin it. His expression hardened. Anyways, that's done. We can access the computer without any interruptions now. Masky looks to his right, scanning the aisle. But where's... His words are diminished by a blaring alarm sound of an alarm. A loudspeaker emitted a robotic female voice. Alert, alert, rec room, alarm, tripped. My hackles raising off my neck and back, flinching away from the overly loud voice. Masky's body sprung into fight mode. He swore, feet shifting against the ground and his hands raised before themselves. Masky! Hoodie raced over to him to join his companion. Dry blood covered his attire, his body vibrating, visibly agitated. Masky showed an equal amount of alertness. Hoodie, did you trip the alarm? His partner answered with a head shake. Masky swore louder. Damn it, Toby, you had one job, just one fucking job. The entrance door flung off its hinges. A stampede of missionaries spilled in and around the two below me, weapons drawn and well aimed. A man large in stature held the crowd, his posture authoritative. Scars lined his face that sunk with age. He has the air of a retired veteran, confident, careful, and calculative. He didn't say a word, raising a hand in the air. Masky and Hoodie did not have the time to compose themselves. Surrounded by more than 20 enemies and a death sentence. Does not matter how pro one can be. I am eternally panicking. I was told to be a distraction should it come down to it, but I doubted anything I do can remove the focus from the Proxy Boys. My heart stopped as the commanding missionary's hand dropped. I lost my focus. My balance, my front talons slid off the edge of the crate. I did not pull myself back up. The scene is a blur as I fell. The loud barrage of ammunition seems far away as the world spins around me. Something in my mind clicked. My body spinned in on itself. My legs sprawling out as I collided with the ground, upright and unharmed. The action kicked up a large amount of dust and destroyed concrete powder, rendering my vision impractical. An abundance of hard artillery struck my body, repelling off my back, neck, and ribs. I can hardly feel the pressure due to my feathers. My face, however, took a good brunt of the fire. My mask, to be precise, a material not even Jeff's knife could damage, cracked under the unrelenting strikes. My previous teardrop mask shattered. In horror, I watched my mask fall to the ground. The noise stops. The noise dies. The striking stopped, leaving the soft spittle of falling dust. Movement disturbed me, something brushing against my belly. Hey, Tudo, you mind getting off of us? Hoodie gently poked at my torso. His posture curled in close to Masky, who shook in shock. The two buckled when I fell, allowing a non-fatal land for a meat shield. Luckily for them, they would be Swiss cheese otherwise. I stepped away from them. Tears pricked the sides of my eyes. My mask, my first possession coming into this life, is no more. I swallowed down my sadness. It fooled my bitter malice. If it's just one, just kill that one guy, I'm sure I can forgive myself. The obstructive cloud cleared. Those in the front line gasped, taking a hesitant step back. A monster. They must be thinking a beast. They are correct, though. You wanted a monster. I'll give you a monster. I screamed. A loud, unholy sound. The power of the screech forced my body a few inches back. I dug my claws into the ground with my talons, holding myself strong as many of the enemy's members lost their balance and their posture. The hell? Masky sat up, holding his shoulder where a stray shell snagged his shoulder. He is held up by Hoodie, who remains speechless. Though a number of missionaries are discarded on the ground around him, the chief stood upright, disgruntled and frowning as he wipes a drop of blood from his ear. Quite the critter you got there. He pulled a cigar from his coat, flipping open a silver-crusted lighter and taking a single puff from the butt. He flicked the pristine smoker to the ground, twisting it out inwards with his boot. Guess I'm gonna have to kill you too. I snorted with aggravation, narrowing my sharp eyes and shaking my body threateningly. My actions only made my opponent smile, an arrogant, self-absorbed expression. Surprisingly, he is the one to come at me. He unhinged the Bowie knife from his back holster, twisting it around in his hand to fit his palm. He yelled, a fierce war cry, brimming the blade between my eyes. I didn't flinch. A numb pain emitted from my forehead. My eyes didn't leave his. For that moment, his snarky smile cracked. He moved his knife from the shallow incision on my face. He may have broken the skin, but there is no way you can crack the skeleton of a tank. I caught the man in my lane by the torso, dragging him along with me as I charged forward and into a solid pillar holding the place up. The impact winded him, immobilizing his movement temporarily. I took a hold of his leg with my claws, spinning him around and chucking his body into a stack of crates that had tumbled over. The guy dove out of the way, somersaulting to a kneeling position before me, where he brandished a smaller knife from his thigh. He swung for my head again. Like the last time, I didn't flinch away. Unfortunately for me, he did not make the same mistake. A searing pain coursed through my head like lightning. My vision wobbled, cancelled. Fresh blood fell off my cheeks like rain. With one act of overconfidence, one mistake, I lost an eye. I cried out, staggering back, my mind going fuzzy. I am still coherent enough to block a second attempt as he swipes for my other eye, but too numb to counterattack. Tudo, get it together! Hoodie shouted. Both he and Masky are upright, defending themselves against several stragglers as their numbers dwindles. I shook my head, ignoring the flowing blood from my wound. I tried to relieve myself of the thought of permanent blindness, at least for the duration of the mission. I can swallow in pity all I want once it is over. Snarling, I faced the men again. I've learned my lesson on underestimation. Why can't I say it? I know I can say that word, but why can't I say it now? I know it's underestimation. He won't make the same mistake, but neither will I. Come here, you big buyer. Buyer? I don't know. Bear? Oh. I'm not good with country. Come here, you big bear. He swung at me. I blocked the knife with my forearm. I swung back. He stepped out of the way. It was a constant back and forth between us. No one gained an inch against each other. That is until he stumbled over one of his comrades, one of the proxy's boys killed. His face said it all. He let himself open. I used all my strength, wanting this to be the deciding blow. He tried to mimic my action of blocking my sharp talons with his arm, but of course, there is a big difference between us. His arm flew several feet away, twitching on the ground as blood pooled around it. The same went for the man's body. He cries out, holding the amputated stub of his dominant arm. He sat on the ground, scowling at me, gritting his teeth and holding his tongue. Hello, hello. Toby's voice echoed from the intercom, his face plastered on each and every monitor in the area. I would suggest you losers leave so you don't see what happens next. Toby stood in an office-looking room. Unidentifiable bodies lay behind him. His eyes are unsettlingly cheery. The remaining missionaries gave the monitors their attention. groaning as they watched Toby pull out their employer into view, a thick strip of duct tape messily and excessively covering his mouth. I chart over to Masky and Hoodie's side. Toby chuckles when the other party refuses to move. He pulled a gun from his waist and pointed it at his captive's head. Come on now, I was not asking. If you don't leave, I will put a bullet between your money pig's eyes. The chief got to his feet, holding his arm and clicking his tongue. He glared over to our group and with a look of debation. Don't even think about it, Muscles. Toby pulled their boss's head closer to the camera. Bruises lined his chubby face. The man is visibly sweating, pleading for his underlings to listen to him. Toby cocked his head, wiggling the handgun in his hand before placing the nozzle against his captive's temple. Better make it fast. My fingers are a little twitchy. Oh, that's funny. All the underlings looked at their chief for directions. The man seems flustered. He could not keep his focus and constantly scanned the vicinity. He looked in my direction once again. I shifted under his gaze. My foot knocked a solid object across the hard floor. The object hissed, releasing a small amount of vapor. Oh God, please don't tell me that's what I think it is. I quickly focused my gaze on a large number of boxes that fell during the fight. Within the breeze of broken boards lay an abundance of calendar objects. Pipe bombs. I shrieked. A startling sound. I now had the floor in the room. I kicked the object away from my party, dancing on my feet with tension. If the boxes that were filled with these things, that means the whole fucking building is filled with them. All three of the proxy boys comprehended before the mercenaries did. Toby nervously laughed as he looked into the camera. On second thought, I'll just kill him when no one's looking. Goodbye now! I dove to the ground, squeaking at Masky and Hoodie as they danced on their feet. Get onto me, motherfuckers! I am not waiting another second! They did not give themselves a chance to get on properly. Latching onto my hair like a baby koala, they began yelling at me, to themselves, and just in general, as I beelined for the stairs Toby had gone up. A single eruption of noise shook the building, a single trigger that allowed the other explosives to follow. The stairs and hall behind me were engulfed in a trailing ball of yellow, close enough to the back of my legs I could feel the flames licking my toes. Toby raced down the hall, visibly frustrated with himself as his panic twitching caused his knees to buckle repeatedly. He waved his hands drastically when he sees us booking it for him. I didn't stop for him to get comfortable. The heat is outspeeding me. That room! A big fucking window! Toby clung to my neck, using Hoodie's face as an anchor to my body. His words drawled out by his tics. I made a sharp turn. Masky yelped as I crashed into the doorframe, almost smashing his fingers along with the wood. As Toby said, a large bay window reflected the closing horror behind us. No one said anything as I leaped. A moment where you have two options: burn in the flames or chance the fall. Glass erupted outward. I jumped with all my might away from the fiery grasp that reached out and allowed my body to be taken by gravity. We fell into the lake. The boys floated to the surface while I sank like a rock. I sat in the murk, allowing myself to cool. It's not so bad. The moon piercing the flow of the water beautifully. The lake is not that deep as I imagined, quite the opposite. As I figured, I can't swim with this body. My talons tread the water like a fork in soup. Useless. Because this lake is so shallow, I can propel myself off the bottom. I've seen hippos do it in documentaries. I'm glad I wasted my life learning things I thought I would never need. I followed the direction of the boys were going, joining them on the shore with an extra few pounds of water in my hair. We stared at the warehouse engulfed in flames, relieved that we had not been an extra casualty while fulfilling a mission. That's it then. We can double-check what's left another day. Masky sighs, patting my shoulder with a deep sigh. I'll bandage you up when we get back. Thanks for the assist. I touched my face. The bleeding has slowed, cauterized from the heat, but with no doubt I have forever lost my sight. If anything, I hope I look cool with a scar. Hoodie nodded, giving me a pat before following Masky into the woods, content with having survived. I intended to follow. Hoodie still needed a ride after all, but the sight of Toby staring longingly at the flames compelled me to stay a little longer. His eyes softened as he caught me staring. I'm okay, just have a lot on my mind. He shifts away from the view, taking a few steps forwards. He stilled, taking one last glance at the flames. Let's go. Masky will be up our asses if we get behind. Well, that was, my goodness. That was something, bro. That was, look how long this chapter is. Oh my gosh, this took forever to fracking read. Oh my gosh. Sorry if you guys heard some side noises. That was my niece. Oh, you want to say hi?
Yeah. Oh, hi. I love Titi, and I love all your hearts.
Aw, thank you. Titi, by the way, means auntie, by the way, in English, if no one understands. Now you know. Also, some of the noises are also from my cat being insanely crazy. So, yeah. Anyways, I think that's it for the missions. And after chapter 35, we will have endings left. I know, it's so exciting. I wish I could read chapter 35, but it is very long. It is like I have to go to bed soon. You know, you gotta understand me, mans, and girlfriends, you know what I'm saying? Anyways, let me know what you guys think is gonna happen in the next chapter. Do you really think that we're just never gonna see from that eye ever again, and we're just gonna have a cool ass scar? Or do you think in one of the endings, it's just gonna be healed magically or something like that? Let me know in the comments down below. My theory, I don't know. It's a big, I don't know, question mark. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think so far. If we're gonna get our eyesight back ever, like magically or not, because remember, we're kind of like magical creatures type. I don't know. Demonic, same thing, right? Well, different, but same thing. Right. Anyways, sadly, I gotta cut this short, so your girls gotta go. But y'all better be liking, subscribing, and hitting that notification bell for more amazing videos, guys. I shall see you y'all later on the futuristic video. I'm glad I'm finally able to update this because I was dying to know what was gonna happen in this mission. Can you actually believe that we basically set up a freaking pipe bomb while Toby was trying to like make it easy and all that? Like, oh, you better listen to me or I'm gonna kill your partner. And then he's like, oh, never mind, I have to kill him because now we set up a pipe bomb. You know, honestly, I thought they would get it because they're in the building all the time. I thought they would be the first ones to know, but no, we were the first ones to know. And we were like, let's get out of here. Vamonos. Thank you, babies. So, yeah, she's kissing my cat right now. Oh, so cute. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna get going before, she gets crazy with Casper. Casper's like,
I love cats.
Yeah, Casper's like bombastic side eye, criminal offensive side. That's what he's looking at. He's looking at me and he's looking at her like bombastic side eye, giving her the side eye of a lifetime. Anyways, your girl's gotta go. Bye in peace.